Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the closing bell, the last one of March. It is March 31st. It is the end of the month. It is end of the quarter. First quarter is wrapped up. It has been a very impressive quarter, to say the least. Interesting. My name is Joseph Cusick, and I want to welcome everybody, securities offered by MoneyBlock, to this wrap-up of all of the action for this week, today, this week, and this month. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at the charts, and we're taking a look at the monthly Dow Jones, and right now you can clearly see that the markets had an impressive run. Dow Jones was down 65 points today, or 0.3%. But there's something that's noticeable here. One thing is that you saw that we closed for the month below where we opened. Not to say that that's extremely negative, but from my perspective, it just means that there's not a lot of catalysts in this market right now. Healthcare was one of the cornerstones that everyone was waiting for to get passed and get that momentum for tax reform, infrastructure plays. Well, that didn't happen, and this has put a few little monkey wrenches in a lot of strategists' positioning and mindsets, and you've seen now that that is playing out in the marketplace. Taking a look at the S&Ps from a monthly perspective, in the month of March, we finished lower than we opened. Again, not seeing a lot of catalysts. We're off of the lows for the month, but we did finish lower. So we finished lower than February's close, and we finished lower than the open for March. Taking a look at the Nasdaq is where we saw the strength. We saw it in large cap tech. We saw it in small tech. We saw it in the semiconductors. The sector and the indice in general, the Nasdaq finished down 3.5 today, but this really was the silver lining for the market. This is what's holding up the market at this juncture. Tech has been very strong. The Russell 2000 finished the month where it basically started. This has been a rough month for the Russell in the fact that all of the domestic policies that we thought would start to be rolling out and put in place in the first 100 days of Trump's presidency, well, they're not going as smoothly. And as a matter of fact, we're seeing a lot more gridlock than we are moving forward. And so that's been reflective in this choppy action in the Russell. And basically, there's just not a lot of movement here. We closed the month at where we opened and basically where we had closed February. So not a lot of movement. That's that consolidating grind until we can get a catalyst. I was talking about that consolidating grind. Now down here, taking a look at the VIX, we did finish up 80 cents at 1240. As I had noted this morning and over the last couple sessions, a $12 VIX. That means that at least right now, there is at least some sort of action going on as far as maybe a little uncertainty. But boy, down at these levels is still historically low. We finished the month where we basically opened in March. That's telling you that vol is really not a factor. The fear factor, the anticipation of big violent moves in the market just isn't there going into April. Now the dollar, though, the dollar had an impressive rebound. As a matter of fact, it did close weaker than it opened on the month of March and where it closed on February. But getting over that psychological 100 level, it finished the day up a penny at $100.52. It's ticking still a little bit there in the after hours. But we're seeing right now, though, the dollar did weaken. That gave pause to the market. It gave an opportunity, too, for global markets to catch up as well. Taking a look at the crude markets, a lot of volatility in the crude markets. Everyone was calling for $55, $60 oil. Well, we hit the low this month of 47. We were challenging where we saw oil back in basically, November, right at the election. So we tested those lows at 47 for the month. We finished the month at 50, so we're right in between the high and low. Right now, the argument for oil at $55, $60, I'm not seeing it. The challenge right now is going to be that 20-day moving average on the weekly chart, which comes in at right around 53. So $52, $53 is going to be that challenge point. You're seeing similar action in the Brent contract, except this has been holding up quite well. It looks like the OPEC and non-OPEC nations are adhering to the production cuts that are looking like they're going to stay beyond June. Obviously, that would help with the glut of oil that is in storage, but we haven't seen it in the States. As a matter of fact, in the West Texas contract, we got another bearish component coming out potentially. Baker Hughes rig count came out. They raised rig count. I think it was the rig count increased by 18 rigs. That means that they are pumping oil out of the sands and all the areas that here in the United States where we found these oil fields that were quiet after a pullback below 40 now are starting to fire up, and they're firing up. I think there's 800 plus rigs now that are online, 828 based on the Baker Hughes report. Taking a look at the bond markets, a volatile week in the bond markets as well. Bonds have bounced back off of their lows. They have come off their February highs where we closed, but they came off of their worst levels, and we're seeing bond buying going into the end of March. As a matter of fact, finished a little bit better than where we opened, but again, has some resistance overall on this monthly chart. The 2-year has some resistance. You're also seeing that the 10-year bounced up quite nicely. Again, the 20-day moving average, the resistance right there, as well as the 30-year holding its 20-day moving average, but the 30-year came off a little bit. We're going to watch these bond markets. This could be the area where, if in fact we don't start to see tax reform coming quickly, or at least some promise of it, or again some sniffs that maybe there could be some sort of healthcare reform in some portion of the near future. These markets could actually turn pretty quickly. All right, folks. I want to thank everybody for joining us this week, and I want to entertain you to come in this weekend on Sunday. We're going to have Sunday night setups here at MarketStream.live. Have a great weekend.